Hello everybody, my name is Umar Khan and I'll be presenting on the topic of gaining experience in the technology sector. This presentation will talk about securing work experience within the technological industry and the different routes and that you can go about, that young people can go about securing work experience and the benefits to tech companies themselves for taking on work experience candidates. So, a little bit of an introduction to myself. I'm in the first year of electrical and electronic engineering with a placement year at Brunel University, London, all the way in Hillingdon. I have a bit of a background in IT through through qualifications and training courses. Prior to joining university, I completed a BTEC level 3 in engineering at Haven College of Further and Higher Education in Northeast London. Prior to doing my BTEC in engineering, however, I did a CTEC or a Cambridge Technicals in information technology. So a CTEC is a qualification similar to a BTEC, but the only difference is that the examining board is OCR, whereas for BTEC it's EdXL. During my time at college, I completed several work experience placements in many technological firms, including Capgemini, Sky TV, O2, and BT, British Telecom. However, it wasn't just those companies where I did work experience. I also did technological-based work experience placements at other companies, as you will see during this presentation. So, this presentation will consist of I'll start off by talking about the benefits of work experience for young people, and this presentation is aimed at school, college, and university students and tech firms. So we'll also explore the benefits of taking on work experience candidates for tech firms themselves, as I believe work experience is a process that goes both ways. Then we look at the different types of work experience you have available, such as internships, inside days, placement years. I'll also go through some tips for securing work experience based on my own experiences. I'll also share with you some great websites that you can promote for looking for work experience. I'd also like to bring your attention to a company called 2 to 3 Degrees, which I found has been extremely helpful in getting me a technological placement with Chelsea Football Club, which I will talk about in greater detail. I'll also talk about some of the lesser known ways of getting work experience, as in we all think to get work experience you need to send in a CV or covering letter, fill in an application form, but there are other ways of getting work experience. Although lastly, there'll be a question slide where everyone present on this call can ask any questions. So, what are some of the benefits of work experience for young people? Firstly, it provides an insight into the world of work. Young people can visit the workplaces and get a feeling of the working world. Secondly, work experience can help young people secure jobs. When I was at college, there was a student who did an engineering work experience placement at an architectural firm. Um, he did really well and was able to secure a job as a junior building services engineer. So doing work experience can help the young person put themselves forward for future opportunities. So, and thirdly, doing work experience is linked to higher academic achievement. This is because practical work experience enables students to see some of the real life applications of whatever they're studying. So whatever they've learned in the classroom or a lecture hall, they can apply to the real world on the work experience placements. They can make connections between whatever they've learned at school, college, or university and the working world. Doing work experience helps young people develop key transferable skills, including communication, teamwork, and problem solving, just to name a few. One of the best ways to strengthen these types of skills, I believe, is by doing, and work experience is the perfect opportunity to do that. Finally, and this is the most important aspect of work experience, networking. Doing work experience helps young people build professional connections, which can help them with further opportunities. In today's world, it's not just about what you know, it's also about who you know. Your network is your net worth. The importance of networking will be revisited again later on in this presentation when I talk about some of the lesser known ways of getting work experience. Now, I would like to talk about the benefits to the companies themselves of taking on work experience candidates. Taking on work experience candidates has far-reaching benefits, not just for the company, but for the entire sector. If a young person does work experience with an IT company and they do really well, they can promote the company. The young person can recommend the firm they did work experience at as a good firm to work for. Now as we know, word of mouth and people talk can be very powerful things. So taking on work experience candidates can help promote your firm as one that invests in young people, fresh young talent. So young people can bring in a whole new energy and perspective. They can provide a lot of insights, and they can help support the firm. Finally, and this is from my own experience, they can make valuable contributions projects to projects that firms are working on. When I did work experience with Capgemini back in 2018, I worked on a client site of Canon Europe. I was representing Capgemini as the technology consultant. So my task there involved working um, on a new on a project that involved promoting three different websites. Unfortunately, I can't go into too much detail, but that's the gist of what it was. With my contributions, which included going to meetings, um, documenting feedback, the project ended up exceeding expectations once it was released. Now, now let's go on to the different types of work experience available. Short-term placements, which are the most common ones for young people in school or college. However, university students can also do short-term placements. They're usually unpaid, but the experience you get is one of the best. I personally did a lot of these short-term placements, and the experience was invaluable. was was really great. And then internships, which are usually common to university students. They can be either for 1 month, 3 months, can take place in the summer, can sometimes take place for a whole year, for 6 months. These these are usually paid, and they involve working on real life projects with real responsibilities, and they're often quite competitive as compared to short term placements. Now, a placement year, which is what I'm doing as part of my electrical engineering course. So after my second year of university, I would spend 1 year doing work experience at a firm. Now, now a lot of big players in the technological industry, such as Capgemini and O2, they offer placement years where students can spend 1 year doing a paid placement, and the benefits of placement years are very are astronomical. You can I've met several students who managed to secure graduate jobs after doing well on their placement years. And with Brunel, but once if you do a placement year and you graduate, on your degree certificate it says with professional development to to state that you've spent 1 year in industry. Finally, inside days. Now these usually last for just 1 day and involve going to a firm and either taking on some activities or shadowing professionals. Now, inside days should not be underestimated. I managed to get a work experience placement within the 5G network. Sorry, which involved working on the 5G network with O2 due to attending an Insight Day. I took the contact details of the HR department, expressed my interest, and was able to secure a placement which involved working on the 5G network. So here are some of my top tips for securing work experience. So for young people, I would say expect to send out a lot of applications, but get few responses. So you will have to tailor your CV and your covering letter to whatever placement you're applying for. I would say apply for as many as possible because because you will get few responses. It won't be that you apply for one placement and you're going to get it. you have to keep applying until you get the placement. And what I did was I just kept applying to as many as possible, which helped me secure quite a lot of work experience in the long run. This leads on to my second point: perseverance is key. Now, as I'd mentioned earlier, I did work experience with Sky TV in the TV engineering department. Now, I got that placement after applying to Sky 4 times and getting rejected each time. Each time I applied and I got rejected. The fifth time I applied, I was accepted. So, so even if there's a company you really want to work for and they don't accept your application initially, keep applying to them. Keep applying to as many as possible, like I had said earlier, because that's the best way to help you gain work experience in the long run. And this leads on to my last point: rejection is redirection. Earlier, I used to be very demotivated when I would receive that email from a company that I was really looking to do work experience with, and I'd receive an email that says, "We regret to inform you that you've been unsuccessful on this occasion." Initially, that served as a huge source of disappointment and self-doubt. However, I've now realized that what I needed to do was simply keep replying, and if the firm can give you feedback, even better. So and it might be that the company you were rejected for, or the role that you were rejected for, might not be for you. So and the most important thing is I see rejected applications as a way of practice for me, as I spend that time writing out CVs, covering letters, and if I get rejected, I simply see it as a learning curve or a practice for myself, and a way for me to make future applications a lot stronger. Now, here I've got a list of some really good websites that I've used to get me work experience, and I would recommend everyone who's listening in to try and promote these websites. Firstly, Go Think Big. Now, this is run by a youth agency based in Hackney. A really good website, has has a lot of opportunities with tech companies like O2, Sky, and these opportunities could be work experience for school students, right up to placement years for penultimate year students. They've also got pages with lots of opportunities and lots of other opportunities like volunteering, competitions, and lots of articles on tips regarding employability skills or applying for jobs. Next, Student Ladder, another brilliant website. They've got information targeted at each stage from year 10 up until your final year of university. They've also got lists of companies you can do work experience with at each stage within different sectors, which I find is particularly helpful. So they've got a dedicated web page towards IT work placements in the different during the different stages like year 10, year 11, and right up to the penultimate year at university. Speakers for schools. Now this is aimed predominantly at students, at young people in schools and colleges. The young person will have to make an account and register via the careers office at their school or college. As To create an account, they would need approval from their school or college. However, this has got some brilliant work placements, including a recent work placement which I saw and was very interesting. A work placement involved programming a robot for Mars. Pretty interesting. So, and a lot of it is for people aged 14 to 19. Springpod. Now, Springpod is where I did a recent work placement at Network Rail, which was an online insight day. Obviously, due to COVID, it was online, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Springpod has a dedicated page full of work experience opportunities, talks by different industry professionals. Then you've got Uptree and Bright Network, which are popular with university students, which both Uptree and Bright Network offer mentoring opportunities alongside work experience. Now the last one, Forage. which you might know as Inside Sherpa. It was initially released as Inside Sherpa. So they're predominantly virtual work placements, predominantly online in a wide range of industries. Recently, they've got internships with Microsoft. So these internships at 4H can be completed in your own time, and there are lots of different sectors you can do it, from consulting to law, finance, and engineering and technology. Okay, so I'd like to bring your attention to a firm called 2 to 3 Degrees, which is a youth organization based in Bermondsey in South London. I've been attending their events and their training programs since 2019, and the way I've seen myself develop is phenomenal. They and they managed to help me secure a technical work placement at Chelsea Football Club. So just before the pandemic, I did a 1 day work placement at Chelsea Football Club, which was in the technological sector. And this involved working towards a technological challenge using CAD software, computer-aided design, computer-aided drafting software to design some medical equipment, and this was the highlight. We worked towards and managed to pass a level 1 qualification in digital skills. Chelsea has a very dedicated academy to for teaching skills, for teaching courses, for teaching different skills. And what I found really interesting was the input or the applications of IT within football. 2 to 3 Degrees helped me get this work placement. They advertise it on their webpage, and I applied for it. However, young people can also contact them directly for them to arrange some work experience. Recently, I did a work experience with Coca-Cola, which was organized by 2 to 3 Degrees. Again, and they offer a lot of training programs that that can go on your CV, that have really made a huge difference in the way I work, and my confidence. Now, a lot of us might think that to get work experience, you need to go through an application process. You need to send in a CV, cover letter, fill out an application form, and do some tests. This is true for a lot of firms, especially big international firms. However, SMEs should not be ignored, as in small to medium enterprises. I've done several work placements with SMEs in electronics and in IT, and they were some of the best experiences I had. I did a work experience in web development at the college itself, and this leads on to the first and second points, where 70 to 80% of work experience placements are secured through networking. Like I was saying earlier in the talking about the benefits of work experience to young people, it's networking can be an incredibly useful tool, which is why I always recommend attend events like this with the BCS. That's how I managed to join the committee. I attended an event last year at the Moorgate office, and I was co-opted on as a member of the committee to promote things to do with young people. And um, the best way to do so would be to speak to family members, to speak to friends, to go to events like these and network with people. To ask them if you can network with them on LinkedIn, and try and reach out for work experience opportunities. And your institution, as in your college, your school, or your university, can be very helpful. A lot of the work experience placements I did when I was at college were organized by the college itself. One of those placements was within the college itself, within the marketing department, where I worked on improving the website. So this involved working behind the scenes on the coding, finding out mistakes in the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, testing those web pages before they had to go live. So, um, so your institution is there to help you, is there to give you advice, is there to help you with writing your CV, your cover letter, your tailoring your CV and cover letter to the specific jobs. So I would say do not underestimate the help that your institution can give you. Now, now, one of the best ways tech firms can get work experience candidates would be through building a close relationship with the school, college, or university. An example of this again would be Havering College of Further and Higher Education, where I completed my IT and engineering qualifications. Havering College has a very strong partnership with Merlin Entertainments, which is the company behind the famous attractions in London, such as London Eye, London Dungeons, and Madame Tussauds. I knew several students who were identified as high achievers, and their names were put forward to Merlin Entertainment, where they completed work experience placements. You initially starting off with just a week, and then extending it to about a month or 2 months. And as a result of these work placements, they've gained apprenticeships with Merlin Entertainment. So another example would be Brunel, the university which I attend. It's located in the same borough as Heathrow Airport. It's got very strong links with Heathrow Airport, and there have been a lot of students who have completed summer internships, placement years, and eventually graduate schemes with Heathrow Airport. So, and the second point is, which I think is relevant in the current COVID scenario, is also crucial. I'd started several virtual work placements, but completing them was a bit tricky. I'm still waiting for some of the certificates, but completing them was a bit tricky because they had no set deadlines. They were completely self-paced. In August this year, I completed two work placements, one with Thames Tideway and one with the Institute of Groceries and Distributions, which is in the agricultural industry. Now, those work placements went quite well, primarily because they had tight deadlines, as in they had a set timeline, and you had to get all your work in at a certain deadline. This was a lot easier for me. It helped me manage my time a lot better, and I think in this current scenario, when companies try and do virtual work experience, they should try and set a deadline, as it's easier to work for me. It's easier to work towards a deadline, and it's a lot more organized. So, next steps. Now, what I think everyone on this call needs to do is to try and contact as many young people as possible and encourage them to get as many young people as possible. I would highly encourage everyone on this call to speak to the early careers team at whatever firm they work for and promote the idea of work experience. Personally, I visited the early careers webpage of many technological firms, such as Virgin, for example, and the only early careers opportunities they have available are graduate schemes and apprenticeships. I feel like investing in a good work experience um, opportunity for university students and pre-university students like GCSE and A-level or BTech would definitely be beneficial in the long run. So I would also try, if possible, encourage them to establish partnerships with nearby institutions. Finally, if your firm has a scheme like O2, where internally, if there's a work experience student and a student who's looking to do work experience, and any firm from any department in O2 can volunteer, can put the name forward and say, I'm happy to host this student. If your firm has a scheme like that, I would highly encourage you to take the initiative and volunteer to host a work experience students. And the benefits of this go both ways. Like I was saying earlier, if you decide to host a work experience student and they do really well, a lot of the times I can guarantee you they would post it on a social media post or a blog. And this can help with promoting yourself as in personal branding and promoting the company as a whole. I would like to thank everybody on this call for their time and attention. At this stage, I'd like to open the floor to any questions the audience may have.
Umar, thank you so much. That was an extremely detailed and informative presentation, and I think we need to make this available to a wider audience, especially for the young BCS who are looking for work experience, jobs, all of that. Can you please send your PowerPoint deck to Helen so that we can get it up where people can see it? Yeah?
Sure,
And
sure.
thank you so much. I realize a lot of work went into preparing this, and it's much appreciated. Great presentation. Thank you so much. And open for questions. I don't know whether you're able to unmute and ask. If you can't, ask them in the chat, and I'll replay the questions. No questions from anybody? Umar, can you stop sharing your screen, please? Very good. Now we can see who's alight and who isn't. Mina, yes.
Hi, Umar. Thanks for the presentation. It certainly was informative and good to know you're from Havering as well. Just a question on what during your recent work experience, is there anything that you would say needs to be improved on by the company that's taken you on?
Well, I assume you're asking in terms of technical work placements, because I've done work placements in quality and different work placements, specifically about technological.
Well, it's just a case of, as you were doing the work experience, is there anything that you took away to say, well, they could have done this a little bit better, or were there any obstacles that you found?
Well, with regards to O2, one obstacle I would say I encountered was traveling, because I'm based actually in Redbridge, which is close to Havering, um, but I did my work experience at O2 in their head office in Slough, so pretty long way. So that was a bit of a challenge for me, but because I was going to some place that I enjoyed, I was really looking forward to it. And in terms of what could be improved, I think I think with regards to close replacement, we can make it a bit longer and obviously incorporate getting the qualification, but also have increased the number of time spent on doing the work experience. And and again, with virtual work placements, it would be a lot more convenient if they had a deadline, like you've got 1 week, you've got to finish it all in 1 week by Friday. So rather than having a self-paced, and
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Okay, thank you, Mina. Any other questions?
It's Roy here, Umar.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So you've done some work experience remotely and some on site. So how have you found it working remotely when you're doing work experience?
It's definitely not the same as being on site. Personally, I enjoy being on site. I enjoyed traveling, even though traveling can be a bit long, can be a bit long-winded. I still enjoy it. I enjoy the physical aspect of meeting people and getting to see live projects. Whereas with virtual, you don't really get the same experience. It was still
Okay, so what
productive.
have those companies done? So have the companies used tools like web conferencing to help link you in?
So yes, the recent work placement I did with Tideway used Zoom, and the re, and the other one with the IGD involved GoToWebinar. So, but personally, I think Zoom or Microsoft Teams, those ones are the more user-friendly applications and GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. There's lots of different applications, so depends on the company. But personally, I didn't find any issues.
Yeah. Okay, and what sort of assignments have you found work well when you're working remotely in terms of helping you learn from other people?
One assignment that we did with when I was doing my workplace in the Thames Tideway was that similar to this meeting, we had to create a presentation on developing one of the Tideway sites in Croydon. So what we would do is uh, we, um, we would set up Zoom meetings. We would add each other's um, mobile numbers to a group chat so that we could communicate. And the assignment basically was that each member of the team was given different tasks to do and different slides of the presentation to work on. I was tasked with working on the economic benefits. So, and then we would all put it together on the final day, rehearse it before presenting it to the panel, which consisted of directors, industry professionals. That, however, one thing which worked really well for me was the fact that there was a deadline saying that by Friday we had to get this done. Whereas with other work placements, I'm not going to mention the names because names of any companies, but some of them which were self-paced involved you downloading work, like a worksheet or like a worksheet, or and you had to fill it out and send it back, and it was self-paced. Whereas I find the structure of a deadline more manageable.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Umar, certainly this aligns with some experience of mine. I mean, rather than work experience, but work experience, of course, is extremely similar to onboarding with a new job. Now, I've done a huge amount of remote working in my career, but my most recent role, I had to do onboarding remotely. And for the same reason that you found difficulties with not being able to actually interact with people directly, I found it very challenging because I'm working on a very complex multi-component network system, and not being able to stand around a whiteboard and go, why is this here and who did that and why is it like that and what's that and all that kind of thing has been really hard. And trying to do it off, interactive training and all that kind of thing, it's not it. It's just, the cognitive model just doesn't work right doing it like that when you're trying to understand a complex system. You need to talk to people. You need to have that interaction and so on. So I think all people in your situation this past year, it's been extremely difficult, and hats off to you for your persistence and dedication in doing that. Okay, any more questions? Very good. Right, I will draw the meeting to a close. I will record the committee's thanks to Helen for her service, and we hope to welcome you back sometime soon. And thanks for being the host for this meeting and dealing with the recording and the minutes and all of that. After that, you are free. Roy, thank you for volunteering to take on replacing the role of secretary. And David, although we weren't able to hear you or see you properly, thank you for all your hard work as treasurer, and not only treasurer, as the man who tries to find speakers for events, even under the most difficult circumstances. Umar, thanks once again for your great presentation, really informative. And thank you for everyone else for coming, and hope to see you next time. Okay, Helen, hit stop recording.
Yeah, thank you
And
very
goodbye.
much. Bye.
Bye.